Welcome to One Shots, a Dum Dums and Dice podcast where professional voiceover actors and improvisers tackle one-shot stories created in a variety of hit RPGs. I'm your host, DJ One Shot 2.0, and I'm here to welcome you to No Grotz, No Glory, a journey into the orkish side of the 41st millennium using the Goblin Quest RPG. This arc features GM Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Borovic. What happens when the Dum-Dums play a group of Gretchins trying to take to the skies of Armageddon on a stolen rocket? Nobody knows. 'Cause it's One Shots, Goblin Quest Edition. Bwah, 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 bwah.
From a classified debrief following the events of the Third War of Armageddon. No, but you see, that's where you got it wrong. You got it all wrong, Chief. I've read the other reports. I looked at them. No, it wasn't. I mean, yeah, Yarg played a big role, of course he did. The old man was incredible on the field. But there's something else there. I saw them. They were little, and they were green. They were Grotz. In the grim darkness of the future, there is only war. And in certain sectors, that could not be more true. That is bumper sticker level true. And on one planet in particular, Armageddon has seen constant, large-scale, historic war from its earliest days with chaos incursions to the first attack led by Gazkul Urk Thraka, the first Wa he led after fleeing the Orc homeworld, to, of course, the Third War for Armageddon, where our story tonight is set. Having been defeated, barely, and routed during the first invasion of Armageddon, the prophet of Gork and Mork, the great Gazkul, left, and the Imperium thought in defeat that perhaps Gazkul had learned his lesson. Sure, he'd organized the orcs in a way that had never been seen. Sure, after he got hit in the head by that bolter round, he started getting visions, he claimed, messages from Gork and Mork themselves, the orc gods. But it's fine. Just another greenskin, right? But Gazkul was no ordinary greenskin. No, he realized that the reason the Imperium, why the squishy humans, as they're often called, won time and time again was strategy, just knowing their enemy. And for Gazkul, that's all that first battle was. He just wanted to get to know them, get to learn from his enemies, learn their weaknesses, how they'll respond. Over a span of 57 years, strange, seemingly random orc incursions around various sectors concerned the High Lords of Terra, concerned the Imperium. But the orcs, of course, they're wild and chaotic. They're just doing their thing. There's no rhyme or reason to these attacks. No, in fact, only one man, Commissar Yarrick himself, the old man, the veteran of the campaign who managed to save the Hades Hive on Armageddon, continued to advocate that no, this isn't over. Gazkul is not gone. Armageddon bolstered its defenses. PDF forces were rolled out in huge ranks. In fact, the planetary reconstruction took so much longer because of the amount of planetary defense forces being raised in the off chance that another threat were to arise. Unfortunately, Armageddon being very close to Earth and to Terra and to the entire system was a vital supply line that the Imperium simply cannot afford to lose. But Gazkul was just biding his time, and all these small raids were just his way of further getting to know his enemies, as well as here and there picking up new tricks and tactics, which he brought to bear on the world of Armageddon 57 years to the day after his first defeat. An Imperium used to orc incursions just being busted up tin can flying through space, randomly crashing on a planet, and then orc boys spilling out of it, yelling "Wah" and attacking things, were completely stunned as Gazkul's mighty teleporters brought orcs to the surface in huge numbers. The Imperial Navy was stymied by his giant rocks, asteroids he had turned into ships that protected the normally incredibly vulnerable rear of the orc armada. And as a result, more orcs than had ever been seen in combat made planetfall on Armageddon. 3 separate warbands landed and Gazkul began his great revenge. Soon thereafter, Commissar Yark and the other heroes of the age returned. The Blood Angels made landfall, the Salamanders, all of them with the sole purpose of driving back the Wa and reclaiming Armageddon for the Imperium. For those of you who were playing Warhammer back when I was, this was an active campaign. It was a global campaign where you could log your results you'd have to dial up to the internet, log in your results on battles you played in order to turn the tides of war in Armageddon. They had different sectors that were under threat, and depending on who weighed in where, the story would change. This really captivated the hell out of my mind back then. I loved it. I distinctly remember playing myself because I didn't have anyone to play against, playing against myself and then logging the results. And I really wanted the Imperium to win, but sometimes my orcs would win. I was like, shit, well, I've got to be honest. So Armageddon stands large in my mind, as it does indeed in many citizens of the Imperium. And all of you are damn lucky because you were there. You were there on the final day of combat. Now, granted, the world continues to exist in a state of war, and particularly during the Noctis Aeternus, a lot of new shit going on there, but that's for later. Right now, we're in the final days of the war for Armageddon proper, before it just resulted in kind of endless guerrilla fighting, when two giants met on the battlefield to determine the fate of the planet. Commissar Yark with his power claw seized from Gazkul himself. Gazkul ready for vengeance, having released Commissar Yark after capturing him in order to face him one more time on the field. You were all there. You, the greatest, most important Gretchins to ever set foot on a battlefield. Yes, Grotz, the 3 to 4 foot tall, green, like Dobby if you had a rough day looking motherfuckers. You were there, and no one remembers it. Because you're pointless. Welcome, everybody, to No Grotz, No Glory, our Valentine Heresy interlude, where you, the players, will be taking on the roles of some intrepid Gretchins. So think space goblins, who for legal reasons are called a different thing, like the Orcus. What are they, Orcus now?
Orruk. O-R-R-U-K.
Oof. Oofa doof. We're all going to be playing Gretchins on a desperate quest on the final day of the battle of the Third War of Armageddon, and whose actions will reverberate throughout at least a meter or so next to them on the battlefield. Bards will sing of other things, but we will know the tale of these brave, heroic Gretchins, doomed to die in horrific ways. So we're going to be playing a modified version of Goblin Quest for this one shot. Goblin Quest is an absolutely wonderful game by Grant Hewitt, who you might know from Honey Heist, Jason Statham's Vacation, and a bunch of other delightful quick games. And Goblin Quest is all about taking little teams of goblins and having them go on a big adventure. But they're goblins, and they're not great at surviving. So everyone's going to get to play a bunch of different characters who die horrifically, which I thought was very much in the spirit of Dark Heresy and Valentine Heresy in general. But also just a nice little break as we were on hiatus and planning the next season. Fun way for us to kind of get together and play some games in the interim as we shift gears from the Omnium Protohive back to the adventures of Lucius Valentine. So we've got our usual band here, and for this campaign, we also wanted to open it up a little bit to some of our Patreon listeners and viewers. One of the weird things that we like to do is make sure that if you are subscribed on Patreon, that you get a chance to mess with us a little bit and to really leave your imprint on the show. So a lot of the names you've heard in games past have been drawn from our Patreon audience. And we figured No Grotz, No Glory was a perfect fucking place for that. So Tyler, Dell, Laura, and Ryan, you are going to be playing what's known as a small clutch of Grotz. These are kind of like a loose family of Grotz. There's not a lot of loyalty amongst Gretchins. I'm never going to call them by their new name. In the orc hierarchy, you've basically got snotlings, which are like little weird guys. You got Gretchins, who are like en route to being orcs. You got orcs and you got knobs, and basically like the bigger and stronger and smarter you get, the better your rank is and the scarier you become. But often that's just decided through your actions. You just one day you start getting smart and suddenly you start growing. Gazkul is huge because he started figuring shit out, possibly because of brain damage, and as a result is like a big honking orc.
How did they grow?
Based on utility. So orcs, this is a weird little lore thing that'll be helpful for later.
Yeah, this is I don't know anything about like orcs and goblins.
Orcs are like there's some weird like spore-based vegetation shit that we really don't need to get into. But basically, they're some of the most powerful psychers in the galaxy. They just don't know it. So orc technology looks like shit. It shouldn't work. The Imperium has no understanding of why it works because literally, if an orc slaps together 3 pieces of metal and puts a bullet in it and thinks this is a gun, that gun's going to shoot. So all of orc tech is like barely held together. If they paint, there was actually a rule in the orc books called red paint job, where like they just think red things go faster, not unlike humans. So if you pay like a point, you can go like an extra inch, but you have to paint it red.
The Mechanicus have done studies, and orc vehicles painted red go like 13 to 16% faster than comparable vehicles of the same structural makeup. So the idea is like, it looks like a cannon, but the moment we try to use it, it blows up or does nothing. But for the orcs, it'll function.
Oh my god!
Incidentally,
I had no idea about the psyker angle. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it also carries over to how they get bigger. So yeah, they're spore-based, as Tom mentioned. It's why it's almost impossible to get rid of them because literally just like more mushrooms will grow. But orcs start to get bigger when they decide they want to be bigger. So like when an orc thinks like, I want to be the fucking knob of this squad, they just start muscling up for no reason. So the knob can be like, oh, you're getting big. I think you got a fucking problem. And then they just fucking murder each other. So Gazkul
that accent is canon, right, for all orcs?
Oh yeah, they're all
based
all
on every video
Cockney.
game. Yeah, 100%.
It's because they're all one species that's spore based, so it's like a universal accent. It's ridiculous. But so Gazkul, the other theory about Gazkul being the biggest is simply because as warbands came together, he had to be bigger than the other guy to be in charge. So it's just an arms race to grow bigger. It's hilarious.
Amazing.
Yep. So we find ourselves like way down that pecking order. Grotz are used as everything from minesweepers, not given gear, just thrown into minefields told to run back, to ammo carriers, to pilots for deadly weapons. And what's interesting about Grotz and Gretchins in general is because they're these spore-based creatures that have kind of like been born into this. This is just like until they decide to kind of like bulk up a bit. They're cool. And Ryan, I'm correct. Gretchins are on the evolutionary scale of orcs, right? Or are they a separate genus?
No, they're the same thing. So generally speaking, if we're deep diving in old lore,
please do,
as the spores pop up, first snotlings will appear. And then some of the snotlings will grow to be Gretchin, and then orc boys will start appearing. And orcs have a relatively universal but broken version of building their society, which means they'll always kind of form the same way and do things. And they're just born with instinctual knowledge. So it's not like an orc medic goes to doctor's school. They just know how to be a doctor in the same terrible way that works for orcs. I can get really into the weeds, and we can talk about Krorks and where orcs come from in the beginning of the galaxy. Where they were a super weapon that essentially the Necrons went to sleep and left the Krorks from the battle with the Catan and the Aeldari back in the day. So orcs are basically just like this incredibly degraded biological weapon that's gone rogue and got real fucking dumb. It's multiplicity, and we're the dumbest Krork.
Nice.
So of that pecking order, you are the lowest, aside from Snotlings, but they kind of don't count. And lucky for you, you're pretty fucking happy about that. It's pretty good. That said, the war for Armageddon has not been so great for you. This thing has been it's an honor to be serving at the side of the prophet of Gork and Mork. That's awesome. You're pretty excited about that. You're going to get revenge on the Umans. That was pretty great. You landed. Everything was amazing. But then the Spice Marines showed up and started kicking ass and taking names. And then a lot of Space Marines showed up. And then Titans showed up. And Titans were woken up from the previous war. But then like feral orcs who were left over from the previous war joined you. So that was good. But the whole time you've basically been running between people's legs. Like all of this is going on and you're just kind of doing your best to get by.
Fuck you, Titan! So
yeah, 100%. But you're probably saying that to like an Imperial Guardsman. Like that's who you think a Titan is because like they're big and they have armor. So there's some issues there. In any case, we begin our game today actually by building our goblins, or our Gretchins rather, our Grotz. Yes. Your quest today is collectively, your clutches have decided that this isn't going so good. There are Titans everywhere now. We've established just Imperial Guard, to be clear. Or Space Marines. If they see a Space Marine, that's the Titan now. It's just like whatever the biggest human thing they see is, that's the scary giant mech. Things are getting a little hairy. Also, like, Gazkol's gotten increasingly erratic. His quest for vengeance against Commissar Yark, which again you guys don't really understand, but like he's gotten out of control. And unfortunately, the Orc war camp, which you, to be clear, are convinced is like Gazkol's war camp, it's not. It's just a war camp, but for you, it's the whole world. Okay. It like orcs throughout in knobs, which are kind of like the boss orcs who are like bigger and scarier and usually have like mechanical pieces. They're all wondering if Gazkol is going to drop today. They have faith in him, of course, but like hypothetically. And as a result, there's power struggles starting to break out, and power struggles are never great for Gretchins. Ever. You never come out on top of these things. So collectively, through perhaps a miracle of inspiration from Gork and Mork themselves, possibly from something you overheard an orc talking about and decided to steal, maybe from a comic book you found in an Imperial barracks, you've decided it's time to escape. Just as Gazkol led the orcs off their doomed planet before the sun went supernova, because they basically just stole Superman, but like, what if he got shot in the head though, and then was a weird orc prophet? Just as and I mean, unfortunately, like, because Gazkol's been leading this, everyone's been hearing his legend over and over again. So you're all inspired. You don't view this as deserting. You view this as like, we're going to help. We're going to get out of here because we want to survive, but also like, this is what Gazkol did, and that's a good plan. You know, there's a rocket. There's a bay of rockets set up because I believe a couple of you are actually bomb pilots. There's a set of rockets set up that can get you the hell out of here. And based on the way everything's going down, today's the day. No time like the present. You gotta ride out of here on those rockets. Now the problem is any of the Grotz who are being trained to fly these rockets know they're meant to go like a distance, but not like the distance. You know, they're what we the players know is these things are just guided missiles that Grotz drive, thinking they're flying planes. But you know that they just don't have enough juice. So you're going to need to soup this thing up. It's not going to be enough to just steal one of these rockets and pack onto it and go. You got to like jack it up a bit. So we'll loop back around to exactly how you're going to do that. And we'll build out that quest in a minute. But I just want you to have that in the back of your head as we start to build our goblin clutches. So first and foremost, you're going to need 3 particular things. Maybe theoretically we name the goblins after we have these things, but yeah, no, we'll just do it. We'll do it in the order the game suggests. So first and foremost, we all have goblin character sheets with us for our clutch. Yes. Everyone gets 5 goblins.
I crossed it out, so mine says Grot Quest.
My man.
Yes.
I call mine Gazkol's 20.
Oh, amazing. Oh, I love it. Love that. To the ends of the earth. Okay, so don't worry about your Grotz just yet. You'll notice in the main part of the sheet, we've got the quest over to the left, but on the right, there's a few things we need to fill out. So the first is your honorific. So this is the surname of your clutch. This could be something like Longtooth or Butterfingers or Jerkwad or some other suitable moniker. But basically, this is just like, for whatever weird orkish societal piece that happened, there is a name that travels around that describes your particular clutch. That doesn't mean you all need to be close. It's not like you're like, you know, it's not Oregon Trail. You're just people who are loosely associated with each other. You can also think of it as a club if you don't want it to be like a familial thing. So just write down basically like a unified last name.
Oregon Trail.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There you go.
Ouch. I got it.
Sorry, you died of war.
Tom, are we saying them out loud? What's our setup here, Tommy?
Well, I mean, just write them down, and then yeah, let's do the whole sheet. Then we'll do a round of everyone being like, "Here's my thing," just so that we're not constantly like this. So we need your honorific. We need an expertise. Now, each of your Grotz that have been submitted by our fine Patreon folks has their own has like something they're really good at, which is great. But we're talking about like your entire clutch is generally like solid at one thing. The examples in the book are running away, ganging up on things, looking pathetic enough to escape harm. This is just a universal trait that like your specific clutch has either trained or has just like developed over generations. Understanding the generations are super short. The oldest recorded Gretchin was 9 years old. He was viewed as like an ancient wise man. He formed his own society and then he got sat on and died. So we're not talking like long lives, just powerful ones.
Yeah,
Tyler,
that's an old guy in a village. We're in a fucking war zone.
Yep. Tyler, do you have a question there, sir?
Nope, I was just scratching my nose.
Like clutch honorific, does that like have an effect on anything, or can that just be like whatever the fuck we want to call it?
It is literally whatever you would like to call it. And keep in mind, like, it can be something that they were named. They didn't necessarily have to pick it. That's true of all of their names. It is just a general thing you should be aware of. In terms of how it plays mechanically, when you go to roll, and this will be true of the expertise as well. When you go to roll, this won't play into any of the things you roll with, but for some of these things, like your expertise, it just means you will roll an additional dice. So if you're really good at sneaking, if that's your like your expertise, then if you're trying to do something sneaky, you just get to roll an additional dice. Now, the catch is this isn't a best dice win scenario. It's like both things happen. All right. I think Laura's quite happy with hers.
It's so fucking stupid.
Well, the good news is, again, because making this, I wanted to make sure that we weren't breaking canon. So I did some deep dives on Gretchins and orcs. And like the good news is, as Gretchins go, all on the level. Like they are just silly little dudes running around, getting into trouble. Also, the Imperium dubbed the orc mech boy who planned all this Orkimedes. So I think we're fine to just go with whatever we're going to go with. That was like the grim, dark space fascists were like Orkimedes.
Yeah, an unknown target they're desperate to assassinate.
Yeah, but what will they? Not in this game. Excellent. So you've got that. You've got a noteworthy mark. So this is a unifying feature for all of the Grotz in your clutch. This could be something like covered in stolen hair, unusually long ears, brightly patterned skin, impressively stupid, or literally anything else you can come up with. So your notable mark will come into play on dice rolls. I also cannot express enough. Please do not try and min-max these characters. Just give them something you think is fun, because there is no way to min-max this system.
So it doesn't have to be like a physical. It can be
just a noteworthy mark. Like it could be something as simple as like all of them. Like if we're talking like Lord of the Rings, it would be like they have a white handprint on their face. Like it's just something that identifies at distance. If I'm like, I need to round up all 10 goblins in your clutch, what do they all look like?
Okay.
Great. So we got that.
I think, what we can safely say about Grotz is you can't underthink this. Like, no matter how little you think.
100%. All right. And then the last thing, if you would prefer to get this after you have your goblins, that's fine too, or your Gretchins. Jesus, I'm going to do that the whole time. Is you have an ancestral heirloom. This is a mighty, powerful, magical relic that has been passed down from generation to generation. Understanding that generations may only be a few days, it might just be some trash that a grot found 3 days ago and thought was fun, but it's just a thing you have. I cannot stress this enough. It is not actually magic or good at anything. It's just an item you have that's been passed on from grot to grot. When the current bearer of your heirloom dies, any surviving member will step up and hold it to continue the quest. So some examples given in the book: the bin lid of protection, the incredibly lucky rope, the left foot of the great chicken flatmaster, the big heavy rock, the chair leg of bashing, the sock puppet of wisdom, and so on. So write it down on your sheet, and there's a little space to draw it. We're going to have some drawings to share when this is all done, so buckle up for that. Should be excessively silly. And then once you've come up with what your heirloom is, you'll see under the box where you draw it, it's good at. So what is the thing the heirloom is absolute best in the world at doing? Usually you want to lean on verbs for this. So things like stabbing, bashing, making weird noises, supporting furniture, etc. Also, your grots are free to believe these are in fact magic. I'm just telling you they aren't. So once you have those, we're going to do, we'll go around, everyone will say theirs, and then we're going to do a full round robin tournament to pick your Grotz from this list of submitted Grot names. And then you'll get to fill in the last few. I know at least one eager beaver amongst you already did some. His name is Tyler, and we love him very much. But for the rest of you, we've got some absolutely wild names and ideas submitted. In terms of what you need to know about your goblin or your Gretchins, rather, I've modified the system a little bit to make it more 40k-y. Which means that in addition to what the defining feature of each of these Gretchins is and what they're excessively good at, they also have a job in the orc army. Gretchins usually fill a very specific set of roles. And as a result, I gave people the ability to just kind of pick like, where do these Gretchins fit in the overall orc army? Because all the jobs for Gretchins are very funny and very weird. So let's go around and hear what all of your clutches are, expertise, notable mark, what your heirloom is, what it's good at, and then we'll pick our Grotz for the night. Anybody want to go first?
Laura, you were so excited. Oh,
Del, go.
All right. I drew my heirloom prior. I pre-gamed a little bit, but my clutch honorific is Bob. We are the Bob clutch.
Nice.
Our expertise is holding things. We certainly hold things. Things are held by us. Their notable mark is one red eye. They all have one red eye. And my ancestral heirloom is the colander of holding. And it is good at sorting things. You can only assume it is a colander found, dropped by some imperial craft that it sorts.
I have a question, just to be clear. They have one red eye and the other eye is a different color, or they are all missing an eye?
Depends on the person. They all have at least one red eye.
That's pretty great.
That's the perfect answer, just to be clear.
I love that. Yeah, I think a colander would actually be very easy to come by, given that like Armageddon was completely decimated in the first war, and then while trying to rebuild it, they were also just like raising platoons of PDF, so no one was building things. So realistically, this bunker is probably like in the middle of what used to be a nice place. So very easily found. All right, Del, that's very funny. I like that a lot. Thank you for that.
That's wonderful.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right, hit me.
So the clutch honorific is dipshit. The dipshits. Which I can change if you like, but I like
no, you
dipshit.
can't.
I'm not your dad.
All right. Anyway, their notable mark is skid marks. Their ancestral heirloom is a spoon that they found. It's good at digging, scooping, spooning, etc. And what am I missing? Oh, the clutch's expertise is cannibalism.
All right.
Very good.
I love it. So we've got the cannibalistic dipshits, the Bob Clutch holders of things. Ryan or Laura, what do you got?
So I just went with the first thing I said earlier, which was the Oricon trailers.
Nice.
Their expertise is driving wagons real fast. Their notable mark is the white bonnets that they all wear. Their ancestral heirloom is the spare wheel of cutting off heads, my mistake. And it's good at slicing flesh.
Great. It's good at slicing.
Hardcore.
And you wear bonnets.
Now, for all of our sanity, I will make it clear, in 40k, they are still orcs. It's only fantasy if they're orcs, so we don't have to stress about that.
Oh, that is good.
That does
Great.
help.
After the Eldare bullshit,
I know.
I can't. Yeah, but it is
Asuryanni,
Oricon.
the Drukhari, and the Yanari. There's a lot of elves.
Spice Marines. Oh wait, now we're trading on Dune's licensing. Shit. Cool. Okay, that's great. Amazing.
Spice must flow.
Primaris spice must flow. Games Workshop says, aggressively pushing cool new models. All right, cool. Ryan, hit me.
Jimmy Spice. So my clutch are known as the Morks, because no matter how many die, there's always Mork of them.
Got it.
Oof.
Yes!
And Gork and Mork are the orkish
I was
gods,
gonna say you're accidentally the most holy
Yeah.
clutch.
depending on who you're talking to, because some people are really Team Gork. Their expertise is inspiration and leadership. They're big thinkers. They have big ideas, and they've convinced a lot of other Grotz to get on rockets in their place, which is why they're still alive. Their notable mark is they all have one orc-sized tooth. So just all of them have one huge tooth that they should not otherwise have. Their ancestral heirloom is the red gobbo's hat and cape that they think they found. So the red gobbo exists in 40k lore as basically Goblin and Gretchin Santa Claus.
Oh, okay.
They believe he will lead the revolution for the Grotz to take power. It's actually just a red commissar's hat and cape that they have found, but believe the red gobbo left for them. And it's very good at keeping you not dead.
Oh.
They think it just makes you so lucky you cannot die
Well,
if you wear that.
I think we know whose plan it is to get off world, and I think maybe this is then a little bit more of a revolutionary, like, we got to get out from under the orcs or we're all going to die. But I'll leave that up to you, Ryan. But I like that a lot. Okay, amazing. So I've shared this character name generator, or not name generator, but the submitted names in the chat previously. So we all pop over to that sheet, this sweet Google sheet. And what I need from all of you is to roll 2d6, please, to determine the initiative order of who gets to pick names first. First roll of the game, everybody. Make it
Yay!
All right, Ryan's coming in with an 8.
I also got an 8.
Oh, I got a 4.
I rolled a 7. I beat someone.
I beat no one.
Should Dell and I reroll, Tom?
You sure should. Yeah, we got a roll off.
I got a 5.
7.
Oh, it's
All
Dell.
right.
Awesome.
Del, Ryan, Tyler, Laura. So, yep, we'll just go around. Grab your Grotz, and we'll each pick. And I guess it probably makes sense to do these all at the end, or maybe do them one at a time like a draft. What do y'all?
Yeah, I think do them one at a time like a draft, because then we can find out who gets who, and they all get set on air.
Great. Fantastic. We also have the usernames of folks who want to be credited, so feel free to throw those up. Okay, great. So, Del, congratulations. Welcome to 40k Grot Mart, home of all your Grotly needs. Go ahead and give them a quick read and pick your poison.
All right, I think I got it. I know what I'm looking at already. I need Bigaloo. Bigaloo Bob is where I'm at.
Bigaloo Bob.
All right, amazing. So, tell me about Bigaloo Bob.
Am I making? I'm making it up. Oh,
No, there's more. No. There's
I
defining
see.
feature,
Okay.
job,
Yes.
and what they're good at.
All right, here we go. So Bigaloo Bob is clumsy yet quick. Bigaloo Bob is a kill-a-can pilot, which is very exciting. And Bigaloo Bob always messes things up in the best, worst way possible while having it turn in their favor, which is very lucky for me.
Nice.
Thanks, Fire on Friendly. Appreciate you.
All right, amazing. All right, Ryan, you're up next.
Alrighty, I got to go with Murtaugh, because the name Murtaugh Mork is just too good as an overall combo. This Grot is 1 week from retirement. He's on the repair crew, where he serves as a mech boy and helps perform repairs, and he's handy with a nail gun. Credit goes to no one, but I appreciate the name you gave.
Amazing. All right. Great. Next up, we got Tyler.
I'll take Snick Whistle.
Amazing.
Snick Whistle whistles tunelessly between his teeth when he concentrates. He's a Grot bomb pilot. He can't be distracted. He can't be distracted while he's focused. That came from Grandma Likes D&D. Thanks, Grandma.
Amazing. All right. And then last but certainly not least, Laura.
I'm gonna take Twitchy, because Twitchy Trailer Boy. Twitchy is constantly vibrating as if given electric shocks, or 5 too many cups of calf, and has severe heart problems. Lovely. Twitchy is part of a repair crew, serves as mech boy and helps perform repairs, and is good at salvaging electronics and getting electrocuted. Thank you, Chris Little.
I should point out as well, I'm only writing down the names of these characters. You'll need to keep track of like what all their specific issues are. So if bad things happen, normally I would just narrate that to you. In some cases, you'll need to tell me.
Yeah, fair.
Because I can't track the 20 characters that will exist. I know this. All right, great. Who's up next?
Back to Dell.
Back to me. All right, I'm going with Hoopa Loopa Roomba. Joining Clan Bob. Short for Gretchin and walks ultra hunched, but has very long fingers. They serve as part of the repair crew, helping the mech boy. And they're good at fitting their tiny, often broken hands in between things on the machines to get that damn bolt that shouldn't be loose. Thank you, Ingmar Bjarni Sversen, whose name I probably destroyed. I'm sorry, but thank you very much for the Gretchin.
So that's like the Snowpiercer grot. I like that.
In Twist out.
All right, I'm going to go with Snippin' Mork. Snippin's got a big old pair of scissors and obsessed with collecting the ears of friends and foes. He is an orderly that works with the pain boys to carry Doc's tools and help with surgery. Except for the ear cutting thing, he is a great medic assistant. Thank you, Paul Shearge. I'm excited for this one. So Snippin' Mork.
All right, Tyler.
Let's go with Cannon Fodder. Always has to be first at everything. And Cannon Fodder is a mob member. Too stupid, too brave, or too unlucky to find a safer place in the tribe. Frontline fighter. And what column is this? What they're good at? Being lucky. As in sort of like a cat having 9 lives. And they've already used up 8. Thanks, James. That one's from James Quare.
Amazing. And Laura.
I'm going to take Zag the Pants Snagga, who is a gene stealer, but Jean.
That's an important distinction in this universe.
It's a very important distinction. So their role is Sty Boy. So messenger who waves symbols from leaders' shoulders at other grots to relay orders. Love that. And they're good at stealing pants and using them as standards. So thanks, Joshua White.
Amazing. And top of the round, we're almost through these. Dell.
Yep. All right. I'm going to grab Bug Eye, who is... Their defining feature is they're a hard ass with one of his hands only having his middle finger and thumb and had to replace all the other fingers. Another part of the repair crew for the mech boys. They're good at accidentally making things explode when fixing them, which is a great mech ability.
Very, very, very orky.
Yes, and thank you, Ellen, for the correct.
Amazing. Ryan.
All right, I'm going with Loogie. Loogie is sneaky. When you least expect it, bam, Loogie bombs. Disgusting. I just want to say these next few are going to be real rough. So if you're not into booger jokes, enjoy the rest of this. He's in a repair crew. He's an ammo orc for a mech. So he loves getting into that ammo, dropping big bangs, making big messes. Amazing, disgusting, amazing. That is thanks to / I guess we deserve
because
this.
of
Shilzari.
Great. Tyler.
Let's do Booga. Booga dipshit. Booga has a deeply personal problem. Holy shit, I did not read anything besides the names. Booga has a deeply personal problem. His nose won't quit running with slick green yet sticky snot. Booga longs to bigger and baiter things, becoming the boss of a big mech. Well, I got bad news for you, Booga. Booga serves on a repair crew. He serves a mech boy and helps perform repairs. Booga is great at appropriating parts for his mech, often being sneaky and borrowing from other mechs. Think Jawa. Think like how a Jawa does. Got it.
Yeah,
I
now
thought
you're
that was
thinking with Jawas.
that was just another like orkish thing to say. Just think Jawa. I was like, all right, sure.
Tee-hee.
Yeah. And that's also from Shilzari.
Now, these last two in descriptions are a pair. So should we give them both to someone?
That would make sense.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, their defining features involve a relationship with each other.
Laura,
gonna get double name choices?
Would you like a pair?
Do I get Snoota and Snotta?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that's where we're at.
Fuck yeah. Snoota has a loogie problem. He's always coughing up a thick loogie and spitting it in the most inopportune times. Snoota is the bossy boss of the mech crew. These boys are both repair crew. Okay, Snotta is lazy and slow and is used to Snoota bossing him around. He's best at fixing things in the fastest way possible.
Like a one hammer hit.
Oh, like a one hammer hit. Gotcha.
But don't forget their skills.
Yeah. So Snoota is good at running from things, like running in circles. Snotta is great at quick repairs, but then is useless otherwise. Thank you, Shulzari.
Aces.
Amazing.
So, for those of you who don't have a full roster, go ahead and make up your own. The power is in your hands. All right. So, I'm going to say keep your remaining goblins a secret. Let's just see who they are. Your Gretchins. God damn it. Let's just see who they are when they show up. We know some. You can your Grotz can show up in whatever order you want. They all only have 2 HP, and they have a little slot underneath their pictures for means of death, so you can track what happens to them as the adventure goes on. So the last piece of this puzzle is we need to quickly put together what our quest is going to be and how it breaks down, and then we will set out on the adventure to do exactly this in our next episode. So, question 1 is, what do we want to do? Now we know what our goal is. Our goal is to escape. We're going to get on a rocket, and we're getting the fuck out of Dodge. Yeah. My question to all of you, based on the Mork clutch, is this a revolution piece? Is it like the Gretchins must escape and we'll like form our own society, better society where we don't get killed? Or is it a we're following Gaskull's footsteps, we're going to do what he did? How are you guys thinking about this?
I like that it's honoring Gaskull.
Multiple things can also be true for each of you. I'm also happy with that. Okay, so for the dipshits, it's honoring Gaskull. Bob,
any better?
Clutch Bob, what's your?
I think Clutch Bob thinks if we manage to do this and escape, we will all become full big orcs. That's what will happen.
Okay, great. So for personal glory and great. Okay, love that. Orc on trailers.
I think they saw other Gretchen start running and thought, well, hey, they should do that too.
Okay, amazing. Yep. So on board. And finally, Clutch Mork.
Clutch Mork wants to do a big gesture. They're aware that the Red Gobbo exists, but somewhere else and not here. So they see this very much as like a mall Santa duty of like, you have to bring the Red Gobbo's spirit. So they're aware that probably everyone will die, but they want all the Grotz on the field to see the Red Gobbo riding a rocket. It's a big symbolic gesture, of which they've told no one else. They've told everyone else this is an escape.
Okay, amazing. So it's a big symbolic gesture for some. So kind of for both, it's honoring Gaskull. It is how to get big.
It's what other people are doing.
And it's what all the cool kids are doing.
Honestly, yeah.
Others are doing. Okay, I love that.
Just like everyone who, went across America. They're like, oh, other people are doing this? That's why they went.
I guess we'll homestead.
That's why they call it a bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Okay, so now we got to break this down a little bit because you obviously this can't just happen. There's got to be some steps. So the first question is, what materials do you need to do this? We're looking for 3 things. So basically, these will be the 3 stages of your first task, which is get ready. So these are the pieces you're going to need in order to get this. So what are the 3 things we're going to need for this?
We need rockets.
Rockets.
Yep. So we got rockets. So
And these are the
rockets.
same for all of us?
Yep, because
Cool.
you're all working towards the same plan. You may have slightly different reasons for doing it, but in whispered tones amidst the trenches, you've all managed to like agree like we got to do this, and
Cool.
today's the day because like it's no secret that this is like the day of the duel between Gazkul and Yarrick and the deciding day of the war for Armageddon. So we got to get rockets. What else do we need?
Fuel. Things that explode.
Fuel. All right. So we need to be able to jack the rockets up. So fuel and boosters.
And then we need a big mech's gun so that we could strap it shooting downwards to give us more up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
I love that. All right. Everybody cool with those 3?
Yeah.
Sure.
Great. So that's what we need. We need the rockets. We need to be able to make them blow up so they go higher. And we're going to use the big mech gun to help with that as well. So we got 2 separate propulsion sources that are going to make this ride.
Which will
fly.
in no way conflict with each other.
No, it's totally fine. Don't worry about
Never.
it.
Perfect.
Orcs, baby.
I believe.
Psychers.
Yeah.
All right. Question 3. What are you doing to get ready? So this is under task 2. So unfortunately, like we know what kind of stuff you need, but we also need to make sure you're able to act on it. So like, what are the 3 things you need to do in order to be able to pull off this plan? So for example, if I was trying to create, if I decided that my second task was to make a distraction, it might be like, okay, I'm gonna like light a guy on fire because that's my distraction, that sort of thing. So what are you doing to get ready?
My vote is that we need a high place, a place that's high from which to use these rockets.
If the ground is high, think of how much higher you get off the ground if the ground is already high.
So
Right.
find high place.
Find high
so
place.
so maybe we can say prep a launch pad will be our
Mhm.
task, and then the first part of that is find high place. What else will you need to do at this high place to make it a suitable launch site?
We need to make the high place flat, so we need to trick an orc into driving something heavy over it.
Yep.
That's very important.
Yep, this is good.
Flatten the high place.
Honestly, I feel like these Gretchins making this plan is literally just what I would do if I was trying to make this plan. Like I would like to believe I had something cooler than this, but no, I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't launch a rocket off a hump. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right, what's the third stage of the launch ramp? So we're gonna find the high place. We're gonna level it a little bit by getting an orc to drive over it. So that'll make it nice and flat. What's the third thing we need?
We need a countdown.
We need a countdown. All
I
right.
mean,
Steel clock.
Okay, we're
And
gonna
that's
steal-
KLOCK. We're fucking orcs.
Yeah. So we're gonna steal a clock or some kind of chronometer or some way of doing a countdown. Basically, I think we
for
can say like
if I wrote countdown with a K, just so you
Ah,
know.
that's good too.
Good.
All these are correct.
all right, and then task number 3, perhaps the most important one. How are you actually going to do it? So in the case of the book, theirs is we want to rescue some goblins from the front. So in their case, it was find the war, rescue some goblins, get away without being killed. So in your case, I think this is about the actual rocket ride itself, and this is where those initial objectives come in.
So we have to get the rocket to the launch pad
Yep.
because they're separate. We can't have them drive over the rocket in step 2.
We can't combine these steps. It would be bad.
So is that stage 1 of task 3 then?
That's correct. Yep.
What's
So
task
I've
3
dubbed this-
called?
I've called it the big ride. You can call it
Ah.
whatever you want, but I think that makes sense.
So get rocket to launch pad? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right. What's our stage 2 going to be?
Attach Gretchin to rocket. Somehow.
Yeah, we all have to get on. That makes
Hold
sense.
on. Hang on tight.
Attachments.
Okay, so board rocket.
I like
phase
I
3
like
then.
attach.
So phase 3, I think, is very obvious. You gotta fly the rocket across the
Yeah, I
map.
was going to say a flashy
Take off.
exit. You know, we're not just taking off; we're doing it in style.
Well, I want to make sure we're including, and we can maybe determine if like board rocket or like launch rocket, if we want to debate those two. But
I feel like
stage.
take off brackets in style.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's add. We're going wild here. We're going nuts. Let's add a stage 4 to this.
Ooh.
Stage 4 is the actual
Whoa.
flight. Stage 3 will be launch, because I really like board the rocket, and the fact that for Gretchin's that would in fact be a big part of the adventure. Like, it's not like boarding a commuter train, which is like, oh, we'll just come in and sit down. It's like, okay.
So it's
It's
get
difficult.
rocket to pad, attach to rocket/board, launch, ride in style.
Yeah.
Love it.
/ ride and style. Amazing. Okay, my friends. So we have all of our stages, and now the final piece. There's 2 final pieces for this before we launch into the adventure. We have 4 of you, so I'm gonna need dice rolls yet again. Because we
2d6
are.
or 1d6?
Let's just go with 1d6. This is to determine. 3 of you are going to determine the fate of some of these things. So 1 of you will be off the hook. So that's
I got a
great.
4.
4 from Ryan.
Rolled a 5.
I got a 1.
1.
Got a 3.
All right, Laura, you're in the clear.
Hey.
For Tyler, Dell, and Ryan, I'm going to need you to roll d6 again. I believe the order on that was Dell, Ryan, Tyler. Is that correct?
Tyler
I had
had
the
5.
lowest.
I had 4. Dell had 3. So
Okay,
Tyler,
so
me, Dell.
literally the opposite of what I said. Amazing. All right, so please, in that order, roll, and that'll determine which, because we're rolling right now for what goes wrong. Each of these tasks will have something that goes wrong with them.
But you're not telling us, right? Or do you tell us?
I mean, technically, as Goblin Quest is written, you can play without a DM, so you don't know. I'm not going to tell you until we
Good.
get there.
I like that better.
But I have made, and I will be releasing this to our Patreon for people who want to homebrew this themselves. I've made my own list of misfortunes, 40k misfortunes. So that's what we will be rolling on. So you're going to roll 2 dice.
Misfortunes.
Oof a doof. We really orked a can of worms on this one.
Oh.
So for this, one of your d6s is a 10s, I basically like keep the result. Keep the dice separate. One of them will determine what category of misfortune you have, and the other will determine what the misfortune is. Will your misfortune be just regular orcs, specialty orcs? Is it your fellow Grotz? Is it squigs on the loose? Anything's possible. So, Tyler, go ahead and roll when you are ready, please.
Oh no, it's a rocket truck squig buggy.
All right, so that's category 1, and I rolled a 5.
All right, so that's a 1 and a 5. Thank you, sir. Tyler, can you roll that one more time? Just 1d6 as well?
Another 5.
1 to 5. Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
That's great. I love that. I love that for us. Okay. And next up, Ryan, roll me just a single d6. Tell me the results.
All right, man, the odds against this are tremendous, but I rolled a 4 to get into this position. Then I rolled a 4 for the first die, and then I rolled a 4 again. So I've never
Nice.
been more sure that it was fated for 4s.
Okay.
Coming up all 4s.
Amazing. So now I'm going to need the 2 dice, please.
Wait, am I supposed to do something more?
Yeah. Roll 2d6, please.
Oh, again.
Yeah.
Oh, this is our 6 and a 5. That's no fun, but it's cool.
Oh.
6 and a 5. Okay. Great.
I wish they were 4s.
Could have all been
And
4s.
finally, Dell, roll
Great.
1d6 and then roll 2d6 and tell me
I
the
got a
result.
6,
6. Okay.
and then I got a 2,
Okay.
and then
6.
2d6,
Yes, please.
a 5, and a 1.
Okay. Amazing. Great.
Oh, God.
Very good. Okay. Amazing. So that is all I need from you, I'm going to determine the difficulty. It is based on the first task is obviously a bit easier, so it'll be equal to the number of players -1, with whichever one has something bad going on in it being slightly harder. Step 2 is just the difficulty of the 4 of you, and then step 3 is a difficulty of 5. That's how many successful rolls the goblins will need to will need to do in order to accomplish their goals in each phase. So that is it for prep. We have our mission. We gotta take the big ride.
Yay!
You all have different reasons for doing it. You all have different objectives for why. But damn it, your clutches are coming together. And like I said at the very beginning, no Grotz, no glory. We'll see you on the battlefield next episode. Good luck, and I will mourn your deaths. From a disavowed Blood Angel's Black Dossier. Brother Captain, I am telling you, and know that it pains me to put this in such words. I saw him arc through the sky. The red gobbo flew that day. He flew, and we could not stop him. It is the fall of Armageddon, yet again, for the third time in recorded imperial history. The planet of Armageddon has been besieged, this time, as with the second time, by Gazkul Uruk Thraka, who is doing one of those TV show revivals where they're like, hey, you liked Dexter 10 years ago. Do you want more? Gazkul's mighty Wa, 3 separate war bands, have laid siege to the planet that he was driven from in his first major military action. The Imperial Guard, the Black Templars, the Blood Angels, the Salamanders are on site. The Empire, or the Imperium of Man, is throwing huge amounts of troops against the Wa, and yet the green tide keeps rolling. As we established, today is the day of days, the last stand, the final battle between Commissar Yarrick and Gazkul of the third war for Armageddon. The day the fate of the planet will be decided for now, because there's only war, so it'll happen again. And it doesn't matter how big or small your contribution to the war is. Every single orc in the orc army has a part to play. And Gretchins, you have decided that yours is to take the big ride. You've seen Grotz ride rockets. You've seen Umans in their Thunderbolts and their other vehicles. You've seen orc vehicles flying around. You've seen the warplanes, the big vehicles. You can't fly any of those. You're no good at that. But what you are good at, maybe, is taking one rocket, and for some inspiring, for some paying homage, for some using this to finally kick off that next step to just climb that orkish corporate ladder, and for some just because the cool kids were doing it. All of you have decided that you want to ride a rocket across the battlefield on this day of the duel between Yarrick and Gazkul to determine the fate of Armageddon. So, Grotz, let's get to this. Your first main objective, you've decided that you need to get some rockets. That's going to be a big problem. So I'm going to say that all of you, again, you're each playing a clutch of goblins. Gretchins, this is a game I play with myself where I just fuck up the word over and over and over again until time ends. Each of you has a clutch of Grotz, but there's one Grot in particular who is carrying your ancestral heirloom, who is responsible for kicking this off. And I mean, they're going to make it through to the end. This is the final girl in a horror movie of Grotz. I have no doubt they're going to be totally fine. But as each of your clutches sends their best and brightest towards the small mech boy bay, where the rockets are kept very far away from a lot of the rest of the technology here at the war camp. What I need from each of you is who you're playing, who your Grot is, a quick description of what they look like. And what I'd like to hear is what you're discussing with your fellow Grots on your way to this mech bay. It's worth noting, of course, that you're not at Gazkul's war camp, you're at a war camp, but you're pretty sure it's Gazkul's war camp. So like everything here is kind of sacred. You've been around the camp enough to vaguely know where things are, but like the camp is kind of almost taken on a full world map in a video game for you, where there's like lots of gray areas and you haven't unlocked all the viewpoints. So you're kind of exploring. So give me your grot, what they look like, and then what the four of you are discussing as you make your way towards the rocket bay.
Well, of the dipshits, which I think, by the way that clutch came together was the five just arbitrarily random grots were just in a melee, just beating the shit out of each other, and Orc said, "Oi, you dipshits!" and they all just stopped and like, I guess that's us now. So that's what unifies them. Snick Whistle. Snick Whistle dipshit is on the scene with the spoon kind of slung over his shoulder. It's a big spoon and he's a small grot. He's got like a red like mohawk, and he found some sunglasses, and he's wearing an empty bandolier, and nothing else. And he's there ready to kind of go snatch a rocket.
Excellent. All right, who else we got?
From the Clutch Bob, there is Bigaloo Bob, who is a Gretchin that wants to become a Killican pilot. So he's got lots of pieces of metal just shoved onto him in random places. One eye just completely covered with a piece of metal, just a big piece of aluminum wrapped around his body, and then the ancestral heirloom, their colander, is on top of his head so that he's talking through it because he's just like emoting the whole I'm a Killican now already before it's even happened, like live the dream.
He's basically wearing a Lady Gaga Met Gala outfit. I like it. All right, Laura, who's here from Clutch Uricon Trailers?
I've got Twitchy here, who is, because Twitchy's very good at salvaging electronics, he's only wearing cables, just like random cables wrapped around, because obviously you need cables for everything, right? But he's always getting electrocuted, and part of the reason he's always getting electrocuted is because the cables, a lot of them are like uncovered. What's that called? They're not insulated, and they're just trailing along the ground. And so he just makes connections all the time. And he's got the wheel kind of by like the little axle coming off of it, and he's just rolling it along the ground, just fucking getting zapped.
Amazing. And from Clutch Mork.
Yep, Murtaugh is here. Murtaugh, who is visibly older than the other grots around, in that his ears are a little droopy. He's got a pointier, longer nose. There's a touch of gray to his fingertips. And he has been run through with a piece of metal that still pokes out his back, but on his chest, it almost looks like a crude version of the outline of just a police shield, but it's just from this thing that has impaled him. And he is wearing suspenders that just loop under his groin. Like there's nothing there because it's grots, but it's just suspenders and two loops on either side. He is also wearing, I guess, no, he'd be carrying it. It's not time to wear it just yet. But he would have the commissar's cap on his head. That is his clan's big thing. And then he'd have a cape tucked up and like tucked in, probably under his crotch. It looks like a diaper right now, but he's like disguising what he's wearing. So he's got the commissar hat on backwards, so no one knows what it is. It just looks like he's got an outfit.
Amazing. All right. So the four of you, with, again, your clutches like nearby, lurking and watching, are making your way through the war camp. Gazkul had other things on his mind when planning this invasion. So this is just Big Hill Camp. There was no, tactical naming. He understood exactly who had to understand where this camp was. And so the boys just know this is Big Hill. Also, worth noting, like orc boys with like a YZ, not like, orc gender is a strange situation, but the orc boys,
it's a boys to men situation.
Yeah, boys to knobs is that famous group. So You're walking through Big Hill, and the air smells of burnt flesh, both orkish and uman. This war has been going on and going hard now for quite some time, and particularly with the arrival of the Adeptus Astartes, this thing escalated in a way that I mean, as Gretchins, you have absolutely no idea about, but for us taking one layer out, like, oh shit, it got real in Armageddon. So the air is just choked with these horrific smells, and there's ash and ember blowing through kind of a fetid wind that winds itself around this. You can think of this this camp as there is sort of like a larger area that's been cleared, but a lot of it is kind of trenches carved into sort of what would have at one point been a green hill, but is now kind of mostly mud and dirt. So you've got kind of those like large wooden trench walls on either side, connecting to kind of larger areas in the middle. It's all orkish though, so like everything's just kind of like haphazardly nailed, but it works so well because orcs. You make your way through this. The sun is beating high above your head. It is almost high noon, which you assume is great launch time because you have a target in the sky. And despite the air being kind of choked with smoke, you can still sort of see the blue sky high above you. You're heading to the rocket bay, which is where the pilot. And I should point out, like, the Grotz who have been trained to fly these things. None of you have actually flown anything. Same thing with the Big Mech pilot. Grotz get a lot of, for lack of better analogy, Luke Skywalker on Tatooine training, where it's like, don't worry, the Imperial Navy is amazing. You're going to love it. You get to fly starships and you get there and it's like, surprise, you can clean the toilets on the Death Star. So all the Grotz have been told how to fly these things. They've been shown diagrams. There might be like, levers and a chair, but there are no, like, you don't get to sit in the rocket. You don't get to fly the rocket. So it has almost a mythical quality, as often things do for Grotz. And it is with this kind of reverence that the four of you are heading there. What do you think you'd be discussing with each other on your approach?
I can taste the technology. It is part of me. I know that this is the right way to go to find all of the tech metal. I know about this.
Now, me so old, older than all of you. So remember to sneak. No fight orc die. No bold grot, just old grot.
Twitchy lifts up, like takes a cable and just like the little metal prong coming out of it, licks his finger, touches the end, gets zapped, and that's it. That's all, and continues and continues along with everyone else.
Yeah, Snick Whistle whistles when he concentrates. So now that he's been told to concentrate on being quiet, he begins to whistle.
No, stupid, quiet. Orc, hear that. You have to hear nothing.
He's just tiptoeing.
Okay, what if you think abstraction? Think less. No think. No concentrate. Just walk, but also quiet.
He can't be distracted while he's focused, so I don't think he hears either.
I would like to hit him.
Just tiptoeing.
Amazing.
Twitch wanting to like be part of like the team. It just takes a cable and just hits snick whistle
Snick
with
whistle.
it. Just gives him a little zap.
Okay. So normally we'd, I think, only roll once we get to the stage that we're playing through, but you said you wanted to do a thing.
I'm gonna speed run these 5 goblins, man. Let's go.
So we're doing a thing. So to do a thing, Ryan, you said you wanted to hit Snick Whistle. Ryan, you mentioned that Murtaugh.
I think I said I wanted to hit it in character, so I think now Twitchy is hitting.
No, both of you have expressed a thing you'd like to do.
Okay.
Look, Murtaugh wanted to do something.
Murtaugh?
Twitchy's just following along. Twitchy's just doing what someone else who seems to be in charge is doing.
Amazing. All right, great. So both of those things are going to happen then. So what I need from both of you, and unfortunately these will be your action tokens for when we arrive at the rocket bay for the first round. So for each of you, you're going to roll 1d6 just for trying to do a thing. And then in terms of additional dice, you can add to your roll if these things would help you in accordance with what you've gotten. Your noticeable mark, your expertise, your ancestral heirloom, your defining feature, or your job. If you think any of those things would help you, feel free to add an additional dice. Now, the only catch to this is, Ryan, I don't think Murtaugh is trying to like kill him. Maybe you are, or if you're just trying to get him to shut up.
Yeah,
so
this is just
that
a
being the
smack to get
case,
attention.
then I don't know what I mean. I would say maybe you're one day from retirement, like you're frustrated. I would argue that's an extra dice if you want it. You don't.
And his
have
expertise is leadership, so clearly that would also be a factor.
Okay, excellent. So that's still just one. You only get to roll 2 dice at maximum for anything to make sure this doesn't go to hell immediately. But basically, it's like if you have any of the things and you can justify why you get to add a second dice. Oh, wait, no, I lied. I'm sorry. You can add 1 for each. So you can go ahead with 3 if you'd like, Ryan, or less. But again, think
I
of
went with 3,
what
baby.
would Murtaugh do?
Yeah, no, listen, all dice all the time.
It's the no Grotz, no glory way.
I got a 1, a 2, and a 5.
A 1, a 2, and a 5. Okay, so you got 2 injury and 1 success. So the good news is that any successes rolled still count towards the mission. So you have now you have 1 success towards getting the rockets. So like good stuff.
The whistling ends.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Target
The
difficulty for
whistling is
this
over.
one is
Snick whistle
3.
is quiet one way or another.
Yeah, 100%. But I think we're going to say that your success and your it's just good and bad things. Never mind. So this all happens. This is absolute madness. So the goblin is injured while attempting to do the thing. So Murtaugh.
Wait, so Murtaugh is getting hurt?
Yes, that's correct.
No.
So Murtaugh. The good news is you can explain how you succeed. The bad news is you roll 2 injuries, which means that in theory you die. But you do have your lucky tooth. So every grot has just a little bit of luck, at least all the ones that are still alive, because that allows you to re-roll the whole thing, the whole shebang, if you don't like the result. Every grot can do it exactly once.
Yeah.
All right, so you use your lucky tooth.
He breaks off his tooth to hit you with the tooth is what happens. He thinks he's just going to sock you one, and then he thinks back to all of his many days of being alive. He's got 1 week longer than you idiots, so he's ready.
All right, so go for that new grot smack.
Okay, that is a 5, a 4, and a 1.
Okay, so you still get the success. Something good happens. So something fortunate happens. I'll describe what that is. And the next goblin to act gets a +1 on their rolls. So Twitchy, you'll have +1 on your rolls.
Cool.
But you also get injured while doing the thing. So Ryan, can you describe how Murtaugh manages to injure himself while also hitting Snick Whistle and getting him to stop whistling?
So yeah, Murtaugh snaps off his tooth and he winds up and he's like, "You need to be quiet!" And he hits.
Ow.
But he doesn't realize that as a shadow falls over him, an orc boy was nearby hearing the whistling. And he just looks down and goes, "You don't eat him, I eat him." And then he just gets fucking slammed by this orc that's like twice his size. It's just punching up. So he just gets fucking leveled by an orc for daring to hit another grot because that's a boy's privilege.
Amazing. So that orc does that, looks at his handiwork, nods to himself, and continues on his way, now whistling Snick Whistle's tune, because damn, that isn't like a catchy earworm. Soon it will spread throughout the camp like a plague, and nothing can stop it. Amazing. Twitchy, you saw Murtaugh do it, so you do it too. And you have +1 to your rolls.
Yeah.
So how many dice are you rolling? You've got 1 for just attempting it.
Yeah. So how do we add what do the dice mean? Sorry, I don't fully understand it.
It's all good. So basically, you can, if your noticeable mark, your expertise, your heirloom, your defining feature, or your job, would benefit you in some way, or would be applicable or relevant to what you're rolling, you can add additional dice.
Well, the thing is, I'm good at getting electrocuted. So I know how to I'm trying to electrocute Snickwhistle just a little bit.
Okay, so that's
going to be definitely an additional one.
2 dice. That sounds about right to me. Are there any other dice you think you'd add?
No.
Right. So roll 2, and you get to add 1 to each of these.
To each of them.
Murtaugh's great success.
Ooh, that's going to be a 5 and a 7.
A 5 and a 7. Okay. 6 is the maximum. So good work. That's double success. So that's great. Ryan, can you tell me how Murtaugh, this whole little situation with Murtaugh, gave the fortunate thing to Twitchy here in Twitchy's attempt? Because honestly, the fact that Snickwhistle didn't die from all of this is astonishing. So Twitchy manages successfully, like you can describe how it happens, Laura, but like you managed to successfully electrocute Snickwhistle without killing him. But you had an assist in some way, shape, or form from Murtaugh.
I think it's a spiritual assist in one way, which is you saw Murtaugh do a hit, and then you saw a boy do a hit who's more important than Murtaugh. So there's like, not only are you following little Grot Murtaugh, you're following the boys. And then he also looks at you and says, "You do good. Don't fuck up like me. Look around first."
All right. So Twitchy, what happens when you electrocute Snickwhistle?
So Twitchy reaches out just to Snickwhistle's arm, because Twitchy has heart problems from all the electrocution and knows, like, wants Snickwhistle to stay alive, so knows not to like electrocute him in the heart. So basically jabs the cable, the wire into his arm, and then gets electrocuted himself and pulls it out. It's like, it's enough. He's
and Snickwhistle, you focus so good when you focus. What happens to you?
He I think his muscles seize up to the point that like he can't whistle through his teeth. just his jaw is clenched and his like lips are like pulled back. So it's like, and he just drops afterwards.
Okay,
a little toasty.
Amazing. So Bigelow, I think it's up to you then. As you approach the rocket bay, what would you like to do when you arrive?
Yeah, well, Bigelow's really good at messing things up in the worst way possible that works out. So I think Bigelow's walking up to where all the rockets are, and there's a bunch of rockets like stacked up. And he's just like, yes, here they are, and pulls out one, and they all like roll and tumble, like a whole pile of them just rolls off, and all of them come out, which is like, yeah, perfect. Now we have all of them.
Amazing. So weirdly, Laura got enough successes to beat this challenge. So as you do that, you see the mech boy on duty, like the rocket mech boy, just start to turn, and it, with like a look of horror in his eyes as these things start to roll, and like these rockets are like, think like 1950s or 60s, like cartoonishly, like we're going to the moon rockets. So like these big things with like a little cockpit for a Grot to sit in and pilot to his doom. So obviously all these bombs rolling is a big fucking concern. And as the mech boy like just reaches for his like his sort of like big claw on a stick, from the door you hear a whistling orc stop and say, "Oi! You letting Gretchins walk around just slapping them? Slapping them's my job!" And that orc that beat up Murtaugh walks in and just fucking clocks the mech boy, because that's his job, damn it. His job's to beat up Grotz. The mech boy has no idea what the fuck this guy's talking about. So immediately, like, a fight breaks out. They're, like, flipping each other over tables. And as a result, despite knocking all the rockets over Bigelow, you did, in fact, secure all the rockets. So you now have a pile of possible rockets, all of which are dented, none of which are up to code, but that are possible. Of course, the big challenge is you got a pile of rockets, but you know how far these go, and it is not far enough for your quest. So, having successfully collected your rockets, it's time to add a little bit more power to these things. You got to add a little more punch. You got to make them a little more wah, if you will. So I'm giving you all of your tokens back. You all have an action possible. What I'm curious about is you basically have the rocket bay now. The mech boy is currently fighting the orc, and I think kind of in like a vague ballet of destruction way. They're just kind of fighting around you as you try and do things. There's a lot of like dipping under tables. So I want to hear kind of what again, any of you can act in whatever order you want. Just remember you only get one action per turn.
Cool.
What are you trying to do to jack these rockets up?
Sorry, I'm trying to understand our goal. Is it to get the rockets out of this room so we can work on them elsewhere, or?
So you've obtained the rockets.
Okay.
You have them. You will need to get them to the launch pad. Well, I mean, I can also leave that up to you. Like, you managed to, like, basically, you've succeeded in stage 1. The rockets are yours. So if you just want to say, like, we fucking move them around the corner for later, we want to keep them here, that's all fine.
Yeah.
Because of your weird successes while beating up Snickwhistle, you have managed to achieve your first stage. Stage 2 is you need fuel or boosters or things that explode to make these rockets really go. So you have a bunch of rockets.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of in a dangerous area. If you want to secure them, that's up to you. You also need to find a way to jack them up. They can either be here or you can search the camp. If you'd like to search the camp, I can tell you what's available. I'm mostly curious, like, you're sitting in this room, go ahead and come up with a quick plan. Tell me what you want to do.
Snickwhistle. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so what does everyone want to do?
I'm gonna go siphon some fuel, I think.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But where Rocket go? Or leave Rocket here, let Big Punch fight. Maybe
Where
one
Rocket
die,
go?
other leave.
Oh, way up there.
And Snickwhistle gestures to the sky.
Okay.
That's where the rocket's going.
Snickwhistle on fuel duty. Other two more useful grot. Twitchy, what do?
Oh. What rest do?
Okay, Twitchy, do something. Metal Face, what do?
One rocket good. More rockets better.
Oh, Twitchy, find Rocket!
And Twitchy does that thing again. Licks his finger, puts it to a wire, gets zapped, points, and says,
That way! More Rocket!
Okay, so you two take rockets that way for much prepare, bring many rocket. I go with fuel team, much sneak.
Great. So the rough plan is get the rockets out of harm's way so that these like fighting guys don't kill each other. Twitchy and Bigaloo are off in search of quote more rockets. So they're going to take the rockets somewhere safe, store them. Snickwhistle, you and Murtaugh are on fuel siphoning duty. Is that am I understanding everything correctly?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So let's start with Twitchy and Bigaloo. Murtaugh, you shoot one last look over your shoulder. And again, you've got at least a week on these guys. So like you've seen some shit. And just I think there's maybe a moment for you of like these are the two we're leaving in charge. But desperate times. Is there any parting advice you give them as they begin to bundle the rockets?
Don't fuck up. You are young. Young make stupid. Think like old.
And he taps his head twice, and then he says, "And not let this happen." And he pokes the badge on his chest. He's like, "Fuck! Ow! Ow! Why do?"
Twitchy immediately stabs himself with a cable. Going, ah!
No, think old, not young. Stupid. Wait. Old did.
Uh-oh, me problem? And he's gone.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so Twitchy and Bigaloo, you're in a room with two orcs who are fighting. Now, admittedly, being in a room with two orcs that are fighting is not an uncommon situation for you to find yourselves in. Currently, the mech boy has flipped up a table and has pinned the orc boy up against a wall and is like using one hand to brace the table and the other hand to just punch him in the face over top of it. The orc pinned on the other side of the table, meanwhile, is trying to 1-inch punch his way through the table to get some good gut punches in. But any moment now, this could break out. This is really like a dancing around the feet of Godzilla situation. So your time is limited, and the rockets, they are plentiful, but they are dented. They're also much larger than the two of you. So you kind of you have a moment if you want to sort of confide with each other and figure out a plan. Alternatively, you are Gretchin's. So if you just want to do a thing, I'm not going to stop you. What do you do?
Yeah, Bigelow is just trying to grab as many rockets as possible and shuffle them all over. Completely unaware of the fight because Bigelow feels like, yes, I am Killican. I am dangerous. No one should. I fear nothing. They fear me. Carrying as many rockets as possible.
Okay, so given that these rockets are bigger than you by like quite some, I think how do you imagine you're carrying them? Because I've got some ideas, but I'm curious how you think. Is it literally just trying to like? Because these things are kind of like the equivalent of a canoe to a human.
Yes.
You know, portage some rockets.
Yeah. How are you moving?
I'm thinking there's the one main rocket. Yeah, there's the one main rocket, and then I think some of the other ones, it's like punch, bend in half, stick in the pile, like just ripping rockets.
Bits off. Okay.
Yeah, ripping bits off pieces. They're all rockets. It's fine.
Amazing. So literally, just like. You're doing that thing where it's like, well, I've got to buy this Tupperware, so I guess I can just use this as a cart for now, except with highly dangerous explosives.
Yes.
All right, Twitchy. As Bigelow starts to tear apart rockets, oblivious to the fight, what do you do?
We've got our friends, fighting friends on a metal table. Is that what I'm hearing? I think. Twitchy sees the strongest people in the room fighting. Twitchy gets involved in the fight. So Twitchy basically takes 2 cables this time, one in each hand, makes sure those wires are super sparky, and just like hobbles over to the table and sticks the wires against them to electrocute. To electrocute both of them.
Amazing. So we've got Twitchy doing a Home Alone / Hitman game here to try and kill these 2 orcs. Not even necessarily trying to kill them, just trying to participate.
Yes.
While Bigelow raises their mighty Killican hands to the sky, preparing to dive deep into the guts of a bomb. I mean, I've said it before, and I'm probably going to say it again in this game. What the fuck could possibly go wrong? Meanwhile, a ways down the path, around a corner, 2 lefts and a right, Murtaugh and Snickwhistle, you are headed to sort of like the vehicle bay, where all the orc trucks are kept. Because if there's one thing you know about fuel, it's that fuel goes in trucks to make trucks go. You're not really sure what happens beyond that, but I think Snickwhistle, you seem pretty confident. What's Snickwhistle's history with siphoning gas? I feel like you went like straight to that. Is this something he knows about?
Well, Snickwhistle is a grot bomb pilot, so he doesn't have any practical experience. But being from clutch dipshit, cannibalism, you have a broad palate as a cannibal. And so the taste of rocket fuel, jet fuel, truck fuel, it's all fine. It's all just part of being a grot bomb pilot. You know, sometimes you gotta bring a little extra juice, just stored in your cheeks. And he was taught that by, I guess, an orc boy who was going to send him to his fucking death.
Ryan, what was the name of his orc mentor?
Cronch.
So yes, you'll always remember Cronch's words of just, fuel goes in here, just in case the fuel's gotta go in there. And then he like points at the chair that you assume would have like a valve somewhere maybe, but there's a lot of like, you'll figure it out on the day. Yep. Amazing. So great. So you know what you're doing. You know what you're looking for. You got Murtaugh with you. You approach and you find the vehicle bay it's about like at 1/3 capacity right now. A lot of the war buggies and war tracks are out in combat, but they're cycling through. This war has been going on for so long now that there are those kind of weird World War II kind of like downtimes where it's like, well, We know we'll be back fighting in like an hour, but right now we actually don't really have anywhere to go or anything to do. So as orcs are like to do, they're starting to get bored. There's a war out there. There's a fight out there. The war is happening. And yet here they are just sitting around like a bunch of taxis at the airport, just fucking waiting to get out to the front. So as a result, one of the a couple of the boys have decided to do donuts in the parking lot, like sort of like the large bay. You can imagine this is like any level in Metal Gear Solid where there's like a long flat piece of concrete and then a bunch of vehicles that you can like hide in the back of in a box. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of situation. They're waiting. There are ramps kind of out of the war camp behind a massive metal gate. But the gate is closed, and as a result, there's just a big empty space where a lot of these vehicles will be stored. And you got two boys just doing donuts, trying to impress the other one. And you got like orcs hanging off the side. There's just generally a sense of boredom and frustration. Snick, Whistle, and Murtaugh, how are you going to approach this?
What's the biggest and best vehicle here? Because must get the best fuel.
I mean, look, I can't fault your theory. Ryan, what do you think the biggest orc vehicle that wouldn't be on the battlefield is right now? It's got to be bigger than a war buggy, but I don't think we can get too much larger.
If it's not a war buggy, we might be looking at either a stolen Imperial tank that they'd be retrofitting into a battle wagon, like something that they could get their hands on, and they're like rebuilding into something orky.
I like that. Okay, so they've got a looted rhino from the Salamander Legion, and this thing is fucked. Like it is like a rhino that you tried to make from sprues that you bought at like a broken sprue sale. So it's got like the rough shape of a rhino. Which for those of you who don't know, think honestly, if a pink eraser was a tank full of space marines, it's that. So it's got kind of like a grill on the front with like bolters sticking out of it. This particular one has almost claws coming up from the front that have been welded on by the mech boys that are working on it, but a huge chunk is missing off the side. As orcs are like to do, just a bunch of different plates have been like burned on. It's all like weird shit they've scavenged from where Hillside was built. So like there's like a stop sign and just, like a school crossing sign and, all the remnants of an Armageddon that is no longer inhabited really by anything other than soldiers. It is it's not doing donuts because it's like up on it's been jacked up so that mech boys can work under it. This thing's going to be a thing of beauty when it's done, and honestly rhinos are hardy enough that this is going to let boys get in deep. So you actually see there are like 3 or 4 impatient like just warriors sitting there like leaning on their axes, tapping their toes, like not checking for watches because what is time, but just generally being frustrated. There's a lot of like little kid excitement, almost like but I want it now. And you can tell that a bunch of the rest of their little like unit are off watching the donut race, but these ones are so excited to get to ride in this thing that they only got eyes for the rhino. And there's a mech boy and a couple of Grotz wearing like welding goggles and holding torches that are too big for them and definitely wildly unsafe, crawling all over and putting final touches on it.
Okay, me have plan for distract. I can distract orc. I steal one buggy, put brick on gas, drive into donuts. They go boom. All boys very mad about vehicle. Bring mech over, then you steal gas.
Okay, yeah,
Give
I can
cover.
get there in time. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the dangerous one because you young. You have hours and days to live. Unlike me, old.
Oh.
And I mean, you are close to retirement. So.
I'm 1 week away from retirement, but we know I'm gonna die before then. No Grot ever lived 3 weeks.
We know that? Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, you how old? How days?
This many. Snick Whistle holds up like, I don't know, 4 fingers.
Oh, yeah, you got at least 1 more good week in you if you don't do it stupid. You're gonna be... I'm gonna call you my boy. You're my boy, Snick Whistle.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm your boy.
Yeah, and I'll be
What
your
does that
knob. Now we have both known love before we die. You go get gas, I distract.
And
What a
with that,
whirlwind.
True
Whirlwind
words.
romance.
Yeah.
This
You say-
enemies to lovers.
No, it's you gotta burn bright when you live for 2 weeks. Amazing. So Snick Whistle watching, like holding with the faint memory of Murtaugh's hand on yours, it's still tingling. You see Murtaugh grab a solid brick and run towards a war buggy. As you grab some tubing and make your way towards the looted rhino. Meanwhile, back in the rocket bay, Bigaloo and Twitchy, you've both engaged in some murder and some possible blow up the place. Let's roll and see what goes down. Twitchy, I'm going to say we're going to go with you first because I think if Bigaloo fucks up this roll, then well, it might not matter what happens in your turn. So let's see what goes down here. So definitely, obviously, one base d6.
Yeah.
You're using your electrical stuff, so that's I think another one. Is there anything else that
100%.
would give you an additional?
Oh, I'd like to say. Oh, do you know what? His defining feature is that he's constantly vibrating. So I think it's what he does is the electrical like the wires are like they end up like hitting the metal table, like just like vibrating at randomly, just like the perfect frequency if he succeeds to stop their hearts.
Okay. I'll buy that as what he thinks he's doing. I'll also say because you're already naturally twitching, the electrical like shock you're getting from your stripped wires just kind of feels normal to you. So I think you're like, this is fine. I'm fine. And your bonnet mutes it a bit. You know,
I did forget to mention that. I mentioned that in the character build, but yes, all of my Grotz will be wearing beautiful white bonnets.
Amazing. Okay. So
Are they lacy or are they just solid? I just need a bonnet.
They're
bonnet
solid
check.
with slight like frills around the opening. They tie under their chins.
I feel like there was like a heritage museum or something. Like in Canada, we have a lot of like, here's this weird little like house with everyone dressed as Victorian people. Like you just, one of these was just fucking rolled over by a tank at some point. And your Grotz
I have a feeling that some like, I don't know, like sick person in the Imperium like dropped off a family to like try to farm the land.
Sounds about right.
I was gonna say, just the orcs rolled over like a group of Sisters Hospitaller, just like the Imperial Medical Services just killed and ate them, and the Grotz took the hats.
Yeah, the knobs were like big red cross.
That's how they bonded.
Means target.
Yeah, they thought they were
bonded.
just helping them aim.
Yeah, that's how the clutch started. Okay, amazing. Great. So Laura, go ahead with your 3 dice, please.
Okay, that's a 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5. Amazing. So you're something good and you're something bad. So your 3 and your 4, those just like net out. They cancel each other out entirely.
Oh,
so
okay.
good news. And you rolled a 5 as well.
Yeah.
All right. You succeed. Tell me how.
It's just Twitchy's just like shuffles under the table and just pushing the wires into the table, and I think was it an orc boy, and it was an orc and a
mech boy. So 2 orcs.
Oh, it was 2 orcs. Yeah.
One is wearing like, a leather apron and has a cigar and shit.
And they just start smoldering. They seize, their body seize, they start smoldering, and they melt into the table.
Jesus.
Amazing. Meanwhile, a few feet away, Bigaloo. I mean, look, Killicans can't sigh with relief, but you kind of do, which is odd because Killicans can't do it. Must be a wind blowing through your mech suit there. But there's just something, there was some kind of noise that was distracting you ever so slightly, and it's just gone now. And that's so nice. You didn't realize it was 2 orcs fighting, but there it is. So you're going to get +1 on your roll. Go ahead and try and loot the rockets.
Disturbance in the system. All right, so the rockets will be, well, there's 1 dice. Our entire clutch is good at holding things.
Oh, right. So that's definitely 2.
And I mean, this personal Gretchin is good at messing things up in the best, worst way possible, which I feel like is paramount to this entire situation.
I couldn't agree more. So go ahead.
I'm voting 3 dice.
All right.
For Bigaloo.
I believe in you.
I think we need to use the luck because I got a 1 and 1 and a 2.
Oof.
So let me just check off this luck situation.
Lucky Robotooth. In your case, I'm sure it's just like, killer cans have cool jagged metal teeth.
There's just a piece of metal that has fallen off unbeknownst while focusing on carrying all these broken parts of rockets.
All right, amazing.
And we got a 1, a 2, and a 6.
Amazing.
So I mean that's a success there. There's a 3 and a 2 and a success. Sounds like a credit to team.
You said a 3, a 2, and a success?
Yes, a 3, a 2, and a 6.
Okay.
That's with the +1s added in.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, Del, that means you get an injury, something bad, and a success.
Oh.
So,
Alive.
The something bad. That's interesting, actually. Sorry, I've been playing this wrong. Success doesn't give you a +1 to your next rolls. Something good does. So, -1 to the next goblin. To the next grot, rather, and something unfortunate happens here. I'll describe that in a second. You take an injury, so
took the injury.
Yeah, amazing. Del, what is Bigaloo's mistake? What does this injury look like?
I think it's just a situation of carrying all these rockets and hugging them just a little too tight, and one just explodes and half of his face and 1 arm, but the other arm still trucking on, carrying.
Killer cans are solid at that. All right, so you take massive damage, and the something bad that happens is an air raid siren starts blaring, and running, sort of spilling up over the hill. You see a bunch of grot pilots just like slapping on goggles, running to grab their rocket, because it's time to launch some bombs. So you are now being swarmed, or you're about to be swarmed, rather, the 2 of you, by eager pilots. And you just hear a voice carrying on the wind be like,
Hey, they've got all our rockets.
And you hear tiny voices raised in fury because, man, they really want to ride these rockets. They, too, desire the big ride. Meanwhile, back at the vehicle bay, Snickwhistle, Murtaugh, your plan's in place. Murtaugh, you got to go first in order to make the gap for Snickwhistle. You've got your brick. What do you do?
All right, so Murtaugh is summoning all his various powers to go in. So he's an expert mech boy who has served longer than any other mech boy. He's lived a whole 2 weeks. So he's an expert at these vehicles. So he's gonna essentially, grab some rope and just tie the wheel so it's aimed at those donut cars, and then he's just gonna fire up the engine, put the brick on the gas, and then just bail the fuck out and hope not to die or be killed for having done this. So right, I think it uses his expertise as a mech boy.
Mm-hmm.
It uses his skill of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses his commissar hat and cape of trying to keep himself alive while doing so. So I think 3 dice.
I dig it.
Or we can go crazy. And he also is doing this to inspire, Snickwhistle to live a long and happy life of at least 4 more days.
It's a stretch, but I'll give it to you.
I can do 3. I'm fine with it. You tell me what's legal.
I like it because you did very explicitly be like, I'll do the dangerous thing so you survive. So yeah, I'll give it to you. I should warn you though.
I'm at -1. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That is 2 2s and 2 zeros.
Spectacular.
Oh dear.
Murtaugh, as the you've got the brick, you've got it going. You go to jump, but you realize that when you were sitting in the pilot seat, like in the driver's seat, you adjusted the seat as you do to get the brick under it and everything else and start it up. The metal that is through your shoulder has gotten stuck in the chair behind you, and pull as you might, it's in you, and it's in the chair as this war buggy just rockets towards the two orcs doing donuts. Describe your final moments as Murtaugh retires.
Aww.
You know what? Me had a good ride. Me lived a happy life, and me go out in an explosion, just like Gork and Mark always wanted.
And then all he hears is, and he looks over, and an orc's pet squig, which is a giant, toothy red monster, is right next to him. He's like, oh, me no get explosion, huh? Just like, wow! And it's just the Dilophosaurus on Dennis Nedry, just eating the shit out of him, and he dies horribly. It's just so violent and terrible.
Amazing. The squig.
So he's eaten alive before he hits, so he dies bad.
To work on him as the car careens forward, and in a final moment, it's time slows as the war buggy, just like in a Fast and Furious, we're getting ready to race, every car is spinning out way, smashes into the three of them, and there's a sparks explosion. Murtaugh, of course, isn't present for any of this because he's a tattered mess, but as the explosion erupts, a sort of a round, bulbous creature that's more legs and teeth than anything, the murderous squig, is flung free, and it's like one of those like shitty action movies where like someone's like flying through the earth, the explosion behind them, and caught in its teeth is a fluttering red cape and a backward hat, which it manages to take with it as it's thrown free from the vehicle. Immediately upon landing, one of the orcs, it like rolls to a stop near you, Snickwhistle. And one of the orcs who's waiting looks down and just says, "Fucking squig ruined our ride," and just fucking stomps it like an overripe melon. The squig explodes, and the cape and hat flutter safely to the side, where they will soon be picked up by the next member of the Mork Clutch.
Our No Grotz, No Glory Goblin Quest Adventure features our GM Tom McGee, along with players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the One Shots logo was created by Decapitated Markers, at Decapitated Marker, that's MRKR, on Twitter. This show's theme music is Gothic Trip with Thunder Horse by Damiano Baldoni. And our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com, our Twitter and Instagram at dumdumdice, or on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice. Or you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. I'm DJ One Shot 2.0. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and show your love to One Shots. Wow.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.